Thank you for inviting me. My name is Mario Duarte. I did my PhD in music composition and electroacoustic music at Manchester. I just graduated last year, and now I'm doing a research fellow at UNAM in Morelia in collaboration with CIMAS, is the Mexican Center for Music and Sound Art. So today I'm gonna talk to you from a different perspective and from a different part of the world, which is Latin American, which is Mexico and Morelia. So I'm gonna do a background, the objectives, the expectations of the project, the reality, and some adjustments that we did in the program, some preliminary reactions and first conclusions, because this is ongoing research. So first, I would like to ask you, what do you see in this picture? Any thought about this?
A wedding in the street?
A wedding in the street, yes. What else?
Somebody selling something?
Exactly. What is doing that is quite important. This is from a magazine in Mexico City. It's a huge newspaper called Reforma. In this magazine, they only talks about the jet set of the Mexican society. And I want to address that topic because the university has conducted some studies about this magazine, and they have shown that only 1% of the people is dark skinned that they show in this kind of magazine is dark skinned, like me, which is like probably the 90% of the Mexican society. And just that 1% is showing this in this picture always in a position of service. This picture caused a lot of controversy because now it's like a kind of trendy that they are showing the indigenous people as a background, as an ornament of the high class society. Well, if that was only in magazines, it would be not as important. But it's not only issue of the magazine, it's also an issue of the political policies that we have in my country. These people has been forgotten from the beginning of the nation. In Mexico, there is a lot of inequality, a lot of racism, and the politics and the policies against this only works on the major cities. On the major cities, we are fine. We don't get these kind of things. But the 90% of the country, and it's a huge country, we still have this caste kind of system. But in the case of the cultural policies, it's even worse. Because the exposure to artistic activities is very low, so don't imagine about electroacoustic music, which is my field of research. And some studies have suggested that studying an artistic subject could help to develop critical thinking and find creative solutions to different situations. So after the PhD, I wanted to do something for my country, and I created a small research group at the university with the students from different areas in order to get them involved with real life situations within the community. So I picked some students from music technology department, also studies from social studies and IT students. The objective of this project is to develop a series of workshops about electroacoustic music in disadvantaged schools in Mexico, in rural areas, with the aim of allowing the children to compose their own electroacoustic music. These are the objectives of this project: to promote access to artistic creation, to engage students with real-life situations, the students from the university, and to deliver workshops about electroacoustic music composition. So I was talking about the students that we have in this project. So basically, we want to create, well, we have been creating this, an interactive music system controlled by an app, via OSC, and using digital interfaces in maximum speed to engage the kids with the knowledge and with the composition process. So the IT student developed this app that can be used as an OSC controller using the mobile phones. The music technology student also developed the digital interface in maximum speed, and this interface can process the sound controlled by the app. And the social studies student is one of the key students because he provides the link between the community and the university, and also is monitoring the development and progress of the students in this activity, and if that has an impact of their lives. So we have these expectations. This is a workshop run at CIMAS in Morelia, in the city of Morelia. These are kids from a very posh school, and that were the expectations. We developed the app. Obviously, the app is controlled by a OSC, which we need internet access, and all the facilities. Well, the only expectation, or the main expectation that we have, it was the internet access. But this is the reality. Tumbiska, which is the community that we are doing this workshop, is not far from Morelia. That is the map of Morelia. Morelia is not like a big city. It only has 700,000 inhabitants. It's not big. It's not like big as
Big
Mexico.
in this country, but not
Probably it's the size of Manchester, and it's not that far from Morelia, but it's very hard to reach. Tumbiska is in that red spot in there, in the middle of the mountains. It takes between 1 hour and a half and 2 hours to get there. So I can only go there once per week when the teachers ride the truck, and they pick me very early in the morning, and I go every Wednesday to work with the children. And well, that is the picture of Tumbiska in the morning. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful town, beautiful town. But the reality of the community is quite shocking. Well, first, there are overcrowded groups. I teach at the primary school and at the secondary school, and the first years to 6 years are gathered together in one single group, and that's the way that they teach them. There is only one teacher for all the primary school, so she has to do a lot of work and divide time, and it's a lot of things. So, and I have to do the same because it's kids really small, like some of them are 4 years to 12, 13, and in the secondary school is the same. It's from 13 to 15 years old. Well, in the secondary school is a smaller group. It's only 20, but in the primary school is 40. Sometimes they have electricity, sometimes they don't have. There is no water, and obviously there is no internet access. No bathrooms, and the teachers go to strike quite often, so going there only once per week and then with the strikes is like kind of difficult to get in there and get into the project. There are another social factors. They have to walk to get to the school between 1 and 2 hours, these kids, just to get into the school. And after the school, they go and they work in the fields cultivating this agave plant, this kind of cactus, for the tequila production and the mezcal production. Also, they collect sap from the trees. They do beekeeping and sell the honey. And some of them, well, probably like the 10% of them, they are like cultivating narcotics. And this is a very bad factor because in Morelia, the state of Michoacán, is very dodgy. It's a cartel land. Actually, well, in here, there is a picture that once going after the mountains, we got stopped by 2 armed men, I was very nervous, so I took a picture and sent it to my girlfriend and saying, well, if I don't show up, call Rodrigo Sigal. Yeah, it was well. We were very nervous in that time because usually people get kidnapped and disappear without no reason. So that day we showed that we were teachers and we were helping to the community, but usually they don't. Well, they don't have. Usually people get disappeared so easily. So that is one of the realities that we have in the community. So according to that, we had to do adjustments in the project, a lot of adjustments. First, I went to the community and I started to deliver the lesson as a lecture. I was giving them examples of electroacoustic music, delivering subjects, about music composition, but I found that that was not the appropriate approach because the way that they approach music is quite different. For example, the kids in Morelia, they approach to music, I would say, like as a passive way, because they have all these gadgets and iPads and iPods and the internet access, and they just receive a lot of music. But in there, they don't have those gadgets. But there are a lot of music production, and that music production is an active way because music is a cultural part of the activities for everyday life. So they have to sing, they have to play, they have to dance, and they are always like singing music. The other issue that I would like to address is the issue of the evangelization mode, that bringing people to this kind of music and to the gods of electroacoustic music, and the teacher, the active subject, giving to the students the knowledge and the students as an object. And this way of approach of subject versus object, it was very, very bad for them. And also, these kind of things, it was foreign for them. Well, the electroacoustic music was like very, very foreign for them. So I changed the perspective to appropriate music, and I try to find literature from that side of the world, from Latin America. And I have this, also I have very good friends in the pedagogy area, and over the years I've been reading Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire has a lot of books about education as a freedom, education as a love, and the approach is more close to the situations that we have in that town. Because, well, in the government, we have the constructivism and all these pedagogies philosophies imported from Spain, usually. But they're not fit to our reality, or the reality of this town. So I got Paulo Freire, and it's more approachable. So this change of perspective to integrate in the music production with their own music, and throughout that to know about music. So now the lessons become more like a dialogue instead of preaching me about music. So the process is like this. They show me their music, I show my music, we listen, we analyze, we discuss about this, and then the music is our music. It's not your music or my music, it's our music. And that change of view, it helped me very, very, very well to approach to the kids and to do like a series of steps. First, from the music that they are listening, which is folk music, corrido and all this kind of genre that is more close to them. But there is a middle ground, which folk music and contemporary academic, or I don't know how to call it, gets in there. Especially in Mexico, there are a lot of composers that compose about indigenous themes or indigenous melodies. So that middle ground helped me to get into the other kind of music with composers from Latin America. well, and the first it was instrumental composers. Then I jumped into electroacoustic composers from Javier Alvarez, which is very rhythmic, very melodic, very like those kind of approach. And then I went far and far, showing more music, and it was very interesting that at the end, one of the pieces that they really enjoyed and is their favorite is Partials of Grisey. That is their favorite piece of music. And one would say like, well, what connection? But music is universal. So we did those change of methodology, and also, well, the notation. The notation try to notate the sounds of their own environment and to create throughout these notations their own gestures and textures to later compose electroacoustic music. Well, the research is about timbre and spatialization, but we don't have an 8-channel system in there. So one of the activities was to put the children all over the classroom, and one of the children was picking one of them and spatializing a gesture or sound. So we don't have resources, but we have imaginations. Some preliminary reactions is about what this project is doing for them. Talking to the social studies people, they suggested 3 main questions like, how do you feel before the lesson? How do you feel when you take part of music? And how do you feel after the music lesson? And we receive a lot of answers. For example, before the music lesson, they feel happy, some of them anxious, some of them bored, some of them nervous. And during the music lessons, they feel happy, excited, interested. And after, they feel happy, very happy, relaxed, and some of them sad. And this girl that wrote sad, I asked her, and she said, yeah, because it finished, and you're gonna come next Wednesday. Oh. So that was the reason that she was sad. The first conclusions, because this is an ongoing research, and it's more for the team rather than the research in general, is to don't adapt, for us integrate into the research, into the community. Be active is not part of it's not about the resources, it's how we enjoy music collectively and to find creative solutions to problems. So that is my research.
It was wonderful how you contextualized the project for us, which was very helpful. Who has any questions?
I'm quite interested to find out whether, did you get the impression that the students found an escapism with the electroacoustic concepts? Did it take them out of their environment?
Yes, well, I think that the electroacoustic resources and the concepts of gesture and texture are more close to them rather than teaching melody or notation or those kind of things, because it's about sound itself. So they can perceive gestures, for example, in the bees that they are cultivating, beekeeping. So they found a lot of taxonomy, for example, about the bees and the gestures about the bees. The animals, a lot of animals in there, the sounds of the river, and also it was very interesting that playing this contemporary music, well, they said that it's a cinematic approach, but they found stories. So now we are doing, for example, trying to create a comic to do a piece, because the project is about composition. So they are filling these comic squares or comic spaces with their own gestures that they are like composing in order to make a piece. And the way that electroacoustic music is made is more approachable to them, rather than me teaching notation and this is C, B, A, because they have that in the past. In Mexico there are a lot of programs about wind woodwinds bands that goes into these kind of towns, but the approach is like, all right, the teacher goes and this is Debussy, this is Stravinsky, these are the culture of the music, and the way that they approach is quite different. So people before me, they have been doing that in that community without success, and I have 8 months in there and I still go in there. So
So it seems to me from what you just said that the notion of soundscape is a way of entering and gaining interest, because they're hearing these sounds, they're in a rural nature environment, they're hearing these sounds, and that's a way into this. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Do you have any idea what the sort of the families and the other people in the town feel about this work the kids are doing? What do they think of it?
Yes, we have done some questionnaires to everyone in the community, to the parents, for example, and they are very interested in that because they found that a cultural activity, they can help the children, like just spending time, for example, but also they found that, well, we did a questionnaire saying if the kids have previous music education or an artistic they don't have, but the parents, they play a lot of instruments. So now, instead of watching the TV, now they are more interested in learning how to play an instrument teach by the parents instead of an external.
Yes, Moji.
Where did you get the sounds from? Did you go out with them and record?
Well, it's in the middle of the mountains, and we just need to go out of the classroom and just like go around.
So you went with them to record, so it was their sounds they were...
Well, first we did a landscape notation, and the next step were like doing the musical parameters from the soundscape that we listen, and then to create their own sounds. And then the other activity was like, all right, so you have that sounds, you know about the musical parameters, so create your own gesture, and then they draw those gestures and then pass over the next fellow mate, and then we record the sounds, like interpreting their own compositional gestures.
So they were working collaboratively.
Yes, all the time.
In the composition.
Yes, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just an observation. I really like the way that you've made it into a collective activity. Because if we have the model of electroacoustic music, it's always a solitary person sitting at a computer with a room of loudspeakers that cost more than your house.
Yes.
Actually, the reality of your situation, actually a lot of educational situations, is that people are in groups. You know, and I like the way that it's made it collective. So music making isn't a solitary.
Yeah, because the community is like that. All of them, they help each other. For example, they feed the kids together. The community. That's the reason that the kids go to the school, because if not, the parents, they would put them to work. But they know that if they go to school, they will have a meal, at least secure. So the community try to keep that, the education, trying to feed them, and it's very amazing the way that they do.
I think this theme is growing, and it's interesting in sampling culture and popular arts. The collective notion is just a tradition, but we've lost it because we're artists and therefore individual. But certainly we've seen in the previous project that a lot of people took whole classes and made pieces together, and that made it easier to make it work because of the collaborative aspect. So you've had exactly the same experience. Anybody else? Yes, more.
Sorry, follow-up question, question. I wonder if you saw a similar thing to what I saw when I run a workshop in rural India. So my students and I went over and basically did a project with the school class, very similar settings to what you described. And we went around their village and recorded their sounds in the village. And they had a mill there, actually a miller, like a proper mill, where you put grain into a massive machine and then you get flour out. And obviously it amazed us quite a lot because the sound of the grain to go into this metal bucket was amazing. The students, I mean the pupils at that school, they were like, well, it's normal. Yeah, that's what we have. And we started a whole conversation about how you can have different sounds in different environments and how that actually, what's normal for your community as a sound. And they couldn't really understand that we wouldn't have that sound anymore because we go to the supermarket and buy the flour. Did you have discussions like that?
Yes, well, in one of the slides, I have a car. And, well, I have some bees, the rain, the wind, and those are the kinds of, they really well know. But they have a car, and they have a car because it's the car of the teachers. So that is like a foreign element to their soundscape. And one of the things that, oh, what do you want to notate? Oh, the car. Yeah, it was.
Anybody else? Well, I really look forward to seeing how your project develops.
Oh,
To go so far out and with no context and do this is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you very much.